Okay, we've been planning this for like for a minute, for like 6 months. Has it been six
Yeah, we
months?
have.
6 months in the
Yep.
making, man. I said, "You're looking good, man. You're looking leaner."
Yeah. Yep. I've lost about 8 pounds of fat and no muscle.
Right on, man. Is that where's that at? You have like a little Street Fighter thing in the background. What is that?
Yeah. This is our upstairs. So we have this and
Yeah, Street Fighter is really good. I really love Street Fighter. So anyway, but yeah, man, you wanted to talk about a painting, and congrats on the progress you've made with your discipline. Tell me a little bit about that, the weighing of the food. You sent me a text, which you know spurred me on to okay, he's getting it, definitely getting that. Tell me about the spiritual aspect. You said, I'm going to kind of paraphrase it. You said that you've been weighing your food for the last several months,
yeah.
and you're feeling that it's becoming a spiritual experience. I've been telling that to people I've been training for like a year now.
Hmm.
Like it's like in the end, it's a spirit. This is a religion. This is a spiritual experience, and that's the most advanced level I have been on. So when you said that, I was like, okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing that really kind of dawned on me, and I could take you back exactly where I was when I was driving. And I listen to your YouTube videos all the time and stuff. I love to go on walks like during the sunset and like just listen to your YouTube channel. And there was one time I was driving, I was leaving the gym, and I was definitely overworking myself at the time, but it still had value such that I had to go past that point to know where the line was. Um, but I was so dialed in, man. I was getting literally about exactly 8 hours of sleep a night. I was getting exactly a gallon of water. I was weighing my food. I was working out about 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I mean, I was go, go, go 7 days a week. I was working every single weekend. I'm in nursing school, so it was 5 days a week, nursing school. So it was very, very dialed in to the point where if I put a little extra salt on my hamburger meat that
Yeah,
I used to make my tacos, I could feel a difference. It
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
very, very like
yeah.
fine line.
No. That's exactly what you should feel like
Yeah,
if you're dieting really well. You can get to the point where you're like, okay, like I tell people this, like, hey, you know what? If you're doing it really well, then a little bit of like fat-free ranch, you'll that could really go a long way in your head because it's there's enough of a expand like there's enough relief there if
yeah,
you're going strict. It's not if you're always like eating pizzas and shit like that's like
right.
whatever. There's never enough. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So I was driving home, and it was just after it, like I said, it's been going for several months. It was just down to the, like ounce of water. I could tell you what I was drinking. And I remember I was turning the red light, and I felt something. And I had noticed that even though all the variables remained the same, there were certain days that I would wake up and I would be with it. And there were certain days that I wouldn't be. And there were certain days that I would have to grind through. And there were certain days that I wouldn't. And almost everything stayed the same. And that was whenever I realized that there has to be some other element there. And that was whenever I deduced that it was a spiritual experience. There was something that couldn't be accounted for just simply through weighing myself, through weighing my food, through measuring my sleep. There was something else there that I was able to deduce that this is a spirit within me that's kind of flowing back and forth, a yin and a yang, that's telling me, you're going a little too much over here. You're doing right here, and I could
Right,
I could almost feel that wave back and forth.
right. That's your inner world. uh so thank you for sharing that. So here, let me ask you this. Like, I tell people that I've examined what makes people cheat on their diet. Like, why do I want to cheat, or what is it? And typically, it's this like triggering of neuroses. It's like this, like, yes, sometimes it is you're hungry, like that you just haven't eaten. But if you're eating and you got enough food and that's been accounted for, you've adjusted. This is what I need for today to eat, feed my muscles, and you were eating that. Then any craving that comes, it sometimes comes from this place of like, am I going crazy? Maybe I'm going too hard. Like, no one else is like me. No one else is doing this. What's the
Mhm.
big deal? Like there are these thoughts that are like keep you average. They're like average thoughts. And you feel like, or I feel where it's like, okay. But after enough, my biggest breakthrough has been like after enough digging into the whole into the process, digging, like just you're way into it. You're so deep into it. Eventually, I think the mind snaps, and you're just like, what do you? Why do I feel like there's not anywhere I have to escape to? Like
Mhm.
I have escaped. I'm escaped.
Mhm.
As it makes sense, a lot of people want to escape the diet. It's like once you do it enough, the diet is the escape. The diet is the escape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I just actually recently experienced that, and I would have understood on an intellectual level what you were explaining, but I just experienced that on an experiential level. I just went to a wedding. My oldest cousin, who's basically a big brother to me, just got married. And the entire time leading up to it, and I knew for several months that there would be 2 or 3 days there that I would be away and that I wouldn't be able to meal prep and that I would probably be up late for the bachelor's party and that, this all this stuff would be thrown off. And I knew it going in. And whereas most people, like you just said, they would see like, oh, this is my time to get it. I knew going in, and the longer I was in it, I was thinking, I cannot wait to get back to the process.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to get
Yeah.
back to controlling my variables in a way where I can direct my path forward.
Right. That's 100% right, man. Again, but this is, I think that this conversation, right? It's the, it's the dialogue of a winning mindset because let's just say every day, every week, I play a game of life, and in it, I have to achieve 60 points to actually win the week, right? Now, there has been some times where it's family issues that just break my heart. They break my heart. I'm just like, fuck, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is going to be a tough day. And I start writing about it. And writing is part of the winning. Writing is part of the process. Writing is part of the way to win. And so I start writing about that. And then that's part of that's where the revelations come from. We've talked about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And
And
I could say,
so yeah. And so sometimes I surrender, like your process should support you. And so it's like sometimes I just surrender to the process, and I'm like feeling like, fuck, I am so fucked. I'm so fucked right now. And then the process is there to support me and make me feel like you're not, you thought you were done, but in
yeah.
fact, you're just beginning. Like,
Yes.
in fact, you're just beginning. And the process is there to show you that. It's this like,
Yeah.
and I think that's where people, again, that's where people may not understand that obsession because it's like, well, why don't you react, or why don't you melt down? And it's like, because in the end, that becomes selfish to a degree. That becomes selfish to a degree because I know better. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Because so I'm still leading. Like I'm still leading. I still have to lead. The
Yeah.
part that little part of me that wants to be like, I'm done. I'm fucking done, man.
Mhm.
In other words, without the process, maybe I would. Without the diet, without the working out, without my checklist, maybe I would give in and just be like, just have a fucking beer. Life sucks,
Yeah.
right? But that process keeps the wall up, and it propels you. So I'm sure you're starting to feel something like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I mean, what you're referring to is kind of in line with the mythology of the phoenix, right? It's the thing that kills it so much to the point where it's reduced to ashes, is the thing that makes those ashes grow up stronger the next time.
Right. Again, and so and some of the I don't know why you're not very active on Instagram. I don't see you post too much, but lately I've been revealing to people like the importance of darkness, and and it's not because it can sound so creepy, right? Because it's like the importance of darkness. Wait a minute, and it's like, but if you really think about it, what scares people the most is the insecurity, it is the feeling of abandonment. It is the feeling of failure. It is the dark. It is what scares us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you can lean into those feelings with a little bit more anticipation, if you can learn to like whatever's haunting you, whatever hell is taunting you, and and there has to be a hell taunting you at this very point in your life, right? Because it's almost what's pushing you away. It's what you're running from, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm running from mediocrity. I'm running from it, right? So that scares me. It scares me, right? Average is scary to me. And someone could be like, "Well, Jacob, I don't think you should say that." It's like, well, I'm just being real. Like I'm not saying it to be anything. It's just so once you have something that scares you, that's the dark, right? That's the
Yeah.
dark. But once you can learn to befriend the dark, now you're in an advanced stage of psychological growth because uh like here's a quick story and I want to get into the painting, but here's a quick story of like, okay, that's it right there. um Kobe Bryant was sitting at a restaurant and with his coach, et cetera, et cetera. And some people come up to him, and there was a drink, and there was a drink for this empty chair, and I guess the coach, right? And someone comes up to him, and he's like, "Hey, can I?" Some fans came up to him, and said, "Hey, can I sit here? There's a chair available." And Kobe's like, "Nah, somebody's sitting in that chair," but the chair was empty. And he's like, "Well, what are you talking about? There's nobody in that chair." And Kobe's like, "There's somebody in that chair." And they just walked away. The coach reveals like that was Kobe was talking about his demons, his dark side, that which haunted him, that which drove him into the best, into the tunnel vision, into the Mamba mindset. That was such an important part of the fuel that he said that's they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. Let them have a seat, right?
Yeah.
And so by giving them that kind of personification, that's the element of the dark side. That's what I'm talking about when I say embrace it. And so lately I've been meditating in the dark, and it's just like, again, it's that you get to I'm getting to spend time 20 minutes a day now, and I'm waking up craving time with myself. And you can say, well, why? I'd say this. I'd tell to anyone that hears this in yourself or whatever, I'd say, look, if you don't want to spend 20 minutes with yourself, then why would anyone want to spend 20 minutes with you?
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, in other words, like, what do you mean? Like, if no bullshit in the dark, sitting still, if you're not interesting enough in silence to sit with for 20 minutes, then on some level, you are saying you cannot see your own light. You are saying that on some level. Well, I think
Yeah.
that's stupid. It's like, no, 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 I'm not. No, I'm not. It's not. It's right. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, well, that's stupid, Jacob. I hate you. I hate you. It's like, look, man, obviously that's why I'm saying it because it's a profound thing. Like it's not like I just woke up 10 years ago and I started saying shit like that.
Yeah.
It's been like a process. This invitation into facing all that shit, all that stuff. Anyways, what give me your takeaway or give me the feedback on.
Well, absolutely. It's actually kind of what you said. I think you said mediocrity. One of my most recent revelations is comfort is deadly. Move or die.
Pretty much.
So,
Pretty
yeah.
much, man.
Um, but so I think that it's unfortunate, and this kind of is relevant to one of my other revelations that I'm not going to get into right now. It was essentially humanity's obsession with idealism, such that your dark side exists. So are you going to acknowledge it and put a collar and leash on it and control it as much as you possibly can? Because if you don't, it will control you.
Correct. And
So
that's
choose
what
your poison.
right. And that is why I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
Because it's to say, like, unless you're aware of it, it's in there. It's fucking in there.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless you are aware of what it's doing and what it's trying and you know a real good way to make it fucking try to take like talk to you. And if you really look, I'm saying the when it talks to you the loudest is when you're at your best. That's when it's the loudest. That's when it becomes your friend because it's like, oh, you're not gonna give me a drink? Oh, you're not gonna give me pizza? Oh, you're not gonna just go to a club to like if you're not gonna give me the fun stuff? You're not gonna give me my dopamine fix, fucker. Well, what about
Mhm.
this? Like it starts whispering the insecure, like, hey, what about that? What about that? What about that? You know? And
Yeah.
again, that's why now it makes sense why someone like Kobe was like, no, have a seat. Have a seat. You get
Wow.
it, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's again, it wouldn't make sense until you see, oh, he's achieving greatness. So he's saying, you're not going to leave me alone and have a seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have to tame it.
Yeah.
You have to domesticate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm speaking from experience. I'm one of the people that my dark side has taken as much from me as it's given, man. It's taken from me plenty. I mean, with that, I've had very fun moments, very fun times. I would probably trade 50% of those fun moments for more discipline. Like now, like looking back, a lot of that was just a waste of time.
Hmm.
But it takes a while, man. I don't know. How do you like? You're a young guy. What do you think about this? Like, this is deep shit.
Um, well, I think it ties in perfectly to the painting. If you want to just get into that,
Yeah, yeah.
and it
We
ties right.
better. We better. We actually better. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you said I'm a young guy. I'm not gonna get. I mean, there's so much symbolism in this painting that I mean, it's almost to the point where you can't really. Um, a good word would be inexhaustible. You could just sit there and break it down forever and ever. But for me, the most um prevalent thing that I'm pulling from it that's relevant to you right now is the chalice and what it represents in the picture.
Let me look at the
So
painting.
yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I have it here in front of me. There's a guy with a chalice. He's wearing a red clothing.
Yeah.
There is a guy coming out of. There's a guy in the bed pointing up.
Yes.
There is a man by his bedside. There's people in agony or crying.
Hmm.
There is a man at his bed, sort of. He's looking down. There's a scroll. I like this painting quite a bit, man. I didn't take when you sent it to me. I just looked at it, but now I love the like. I feel that guy. Okay, go ahead. You tell me because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
That's why we're here today.
So I'm not going to break down the art for you. I'll let you do that on your own time. There's some really incredible interpretations of like the guy at the bedside, and then like he's almost remembering, and so if you look to the right, that's almost like his recollection of it, and this is him later. Anyways, it's there's some really interesting theories, but essentially the backstory to this was that Athens was in shambles. The man pointing up is Socrates. This is the death of Socrates. This is the um, depiction of his death. Okay. And excuse me, I don't remember which people or which in the painting. I would have to look into it again. But I've been reading a lot about it. I've been reading Plato's Phaedo specifically. There's different people in the painting that are his students. Okay. Athens was in shambles, and Socrates was one of the few wise men to stand up and say, "The only thing I know is that I know nothing." All the other wise men were saying, "Oh, we know everything. Come to us." They were fascinated by the titillation of that power. Okay, and Socrates said, "Hey, I don't know anything."
Sure.
He was accused by the by many of the people, the powers that be in Athens, of corrupting the youth
Mhm.
because the youth started listening to him. And this is where I kind of find it funny. Um, I believe that in a way that you could be convicted of such things. You have corrupted me, and I'm the youth. And so I kind of like that aspect of it. Um, but he was convicted of corrupting the youth. And so this is at his bedside, and that chalice has poison in it. That poison was meant specifically to kill him. He was sentenced to death. All of his students are around him, begging him, we can find a way out. We can escape from Athens. These are unjust laws. You can go somewhere else and live in peace until you die. He's about mid 70s right here in this picture. It's assumed. and they're saying you don't need to do this. You can flee. And he believed so much in so strongly in that he knew nothing, and he believed so much in truth and justice that he said, "Give me the chalice."
Mm,
So he believed in the truth of what he taught, and he thought the best way that I can show that I believe in my truth is by taking the chalice. He
mm,
thought it would be unjust to flee the country, therefore, it is better for me to suffer injustice.
mhm,
And so you see in the painting, there's people of all different emotions. There's people that are watching from the sidelines down the hallway. They're looking at him like, what's going to happen? You see off to the left. There's people looking in the hallway, barely able to look, but they're like staying a far ways away. There's another man who's sitting there calm, not really paying attention. There's one person who's distraught, handing it to him, but he can't even look at him as he hands it to him. And then there's people that are gripping on his thighs saying, please don't do it. There's people that are weeping.
mhm,
And this is my metaphorical, and I could say it's definitely an egotistical way of looking about it, but this is the most motivating way I can look at it. Is this is me taking the chalice of my deep belief in my own convictions of the great value that discipline and the gym has to offer me in diet and nutrition.
mhm.
Because there are people just, and again, this is why it's relevant to what you said about you're young, you're into this. I cannot tell you how many times that people have come up to me and said, Chance, your early 20s, smoke, drink, go out to party. This is your fun decade, and then you can get it all together later. Why Chance? This was literally almost word for word what someone said. Why waste your 20s counting calories? Why waste your 20s cooking for hours upon hours every single week and going to the gym
Right,
and counting your sleep?
right,
Why do you put so much energy into drinking water and minimizing your caffeine
right.
and not being addicted to it? Why not just drink caffeine like the rest of us?
Mhm,
And there's almost this people looking on from the hallway looking at me like, what's going to become of Chance? What's going to become of his life?
right,
There are people who are handing me the chalice and enabling me to continue with this, but they're almost too scared to watch about what happens because they think that what I'm doing isn't correct.
right.
There are people that are holding on to my thigh. There are people that are weeping and saying, Chance, don't do it. There's another way out. You're too young. Just stop counting calories. Start drinking caffeine. Just smoke and drink and do whatever. Go out to the parties. Stay up until 3 a.m. Just throw off your circadian rhythm. Don't go to the gym. There are people that are begging me to do that. And I
Right.
say no. And I point to the sky and I say, I believe in truth so much that even if it kills me, give me the chalice.
Right. No, man. Look, dude, that's the winning mindset. You're tapped into it, you're on it. And once you're on it, the thing is, here's this addictive aspect. Here's like the the sadistic part of winning. And this is what they're scared of. This is what they're scared about you. I'm letting you know. Someone like me, they see more like this guy's tested. He's fire, battle ready. This guy's a fucking crazy guy. Like, fuck him. There's a little bit of a fuck it for me. You get it? Like,
Yeah.
he's a leader in the industry. He's played with fire for so long. I better shut up and just let him do it. Right? Like, there's that level of like, don't, don't, shh, don't. Okay. Someone like yourself, their concern is that like, when will you snap? It's when do you snap? When do you, and will you rebound beyond, like, you see?
Mm-hmm.
Because they are projecting onto you that they're basically projecting onto you, see, Chance, if I was you, my dark side would eventually take over. And when
Mm-hmm.
it did, it would want to consume me and I would not be able to stop it. They're kind of, that's the undertone of their fear. Does this, but you see how the fear is part of it? Do you see the dark side is very much part of that conversation?
Yes.
Like, but they can't verbalize it. They can't verbalize it because it's too like confessional. It's too raw.
Yeah. It's too
Like,
real.
yeah, it's like, so in a way, there's a lot going on. There's also the, hey man, you're probably end up in if you can stick to this, you'll end up greater than I could have ever been. There's that too. There's the envy. You see how like, and so you're playing with fire to an extent, but it is the land, it is the land of champions. It is the land of those that embrace process.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the land of champions. And it's undisputed. But I think that, like I said, I can only admire you for already being there at that point. When I did it first, when around your age, um, I wanted out to a degree. Like I didn't want to stay there. Um, you know, I didn't want to stay in that process. I think it took losing a lot to and really becoming one of my identity. Um, like one of the I've recently started. I did this thing where I was doing like I did 30 hours of workshop, and it cost me like $700 plus. It was crazy, bro. Like it was nuts. But I worked for 4 years to say yes to that program because it was like, I wonder if it's really that clarifying. When the workshop was done, I had a paragraph. I had a fucking paragraph. That's all I had for $700 in 30 hours, a paragraph. And when when it's all said and done, man, like that paragraph I'm using it to carve out, like that's why I'm meditating in the dark for 20 minutes. It's helping me create my next level because that paragraph, I trust it. I trust that it's the truth about me. And once you can carve out who you are, like at your soul level, and you have no doubts, and you're willing to, like that chalice, take it and be like, this is my truth, bro. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna die by this shit.
Yep.
Once you have that level of conviction, you can create from a level of infinity because now as long as you're living and you have that truth in your mind, like now all you have to do is have behavior behind it. but but who you say you are, like I remember I was told this in 2018. I probably heard it before then, but one of my coaches was like, the word I am, and it's like, whatever that is, I am whatever you believe you are, that's going to affect your outcome, like purely, like it will affect your outcome. So let's just say if you tell yourself, I am a bodybuilder, I am a bodybuilder, right? Like watch, like I'm a bodybuilder, like whatever you get to say it right now, like take a moment, close your eyes, and just
Mm-hmm.
say it to yourself and see what you feel. Take like 30 seconds.
I am a bodybuilder. I'm a bodybuilder.
Mhm.
I
And
am bodybuilder.
right, so let's say this, as you said that, did you feel anything? Did you feel anything? Like if it could be, did you feel excitement? Did you feel, what did you feel? Did you feel like you were lying to yourself? What did you feel, man? Just be honest.
You've taught me the best way to express this. I felt the same feeling as whenever I'm going for a PR on squat, for instance. You feel it on your shoulders, you assess the weight behind it, and then you perform in spite of the weight you feel on your shoulders. That's the best way I can describe the sensation, is that you feel the weight, you can feel the seriousness, you can feel what that will entail in the future and the strength that will be required. And then you perform in spite of that.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, like I said, if you believe whatever you believe yourself to be, that's that's going to drive your reality. So this little paragraph that I wrote over 3 days, 30 hours. The thing is that it was based on tests and research and all this stuff. So I could trust that it was very solid. Like I trust that it was, nah, this is not just some I am cool or shit. This was some deep shit. And so that's helped me unlock some new levels of trust to myself. Not only trust, but desire to get to know myself at a deeper level. Like discipline became um it became fuel for me, man. It became my only pleasure. It
Hmm.
became like pleasure itself for pleasure's sake. I don't trust that to the degree I once did. I'm not saying, like, I would hate to come across like this fucking douchey, like, that guy's full of shit. No, no, please. I'm sure I do things for pleasure's sake still. I'm sure. What I'm saying is the easy stuff that everybody like loves, like the pizzas, the TV, all that shit, like all of that for the most part does not bring me the pleasure it once did. It pretty much does the opposite. It pretty much depresses me. And I'm not saying that like like it kind of depresses me now.
Hmm.
So discipline though, like this, like I was writing before we got here and it was an article on discipline. And when you said, I was like, we spend this for 6 months. I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's do this. Um, I'm excited that we do this, man. But anyway, thanks for sharing the painting. We have like only like 7 minutes to go. What do you want to say before we start wrapping up, man?
Um,
I mean, yeah, we have 7 minutes. You don't have to rush it.
yeah,
Just
I'd say I'm ready for the challenge ahead.
right on, man. That's
Yeah,
all it's about. It
yeah,
never ends, man. It never ends. Like it never ends. That's why you have
yeah.
to. That's why the meditation is so important. Prayer, if you don't meditate, because you have to like surrender to this moment. Like
Mhm.
it's almost like if you get caught up in like, I gotta get here today. Like you have to carve out the path and the trajectory and the plan. But in the end, when you get to point B and C, you're still gonna get another point A that you want to get to. And so
Mhm.
that requires like this really deep. Does that make sense? Because you almost like never get, dude. Today, I think I got myself a coffee and I spent some time meditating. And you know what I said to myself? I said, I honor me, meaning I gave myself all of the honor and accolades that I felt I deserved, that I knew the world was never going to give me, in the sense of like, man, I've been through a lot of shit. And I was like, dude, thank you for getting through it. Thank you for getting through that shit, Jacob. Like you did that. And I'm humbly and sincerely fucking grateful that you did. Like not kind of maybe like think, you know what I mean? Like there's some shit you've gone through. And I bet you nobody gave a shit. Nobody fucking
Mhm.
said, right? And you ready for this? Give it to yourself, dude. Give it to your fucking self.
Okay. Yeah.
And just be like Chance, like, man, you fucking been weighing your food. And but there's a certain validation. Like, yes, it's impressive. I'll tell you that right now. But there's a certain amount that you want from yourself. And I'm trying to tell you that. And that's what I'm saying. 20 minutes in the dark every day, they start showing you these little things like, dude, I'm craving my own like honor. I'm craving my honor for myself. And does that make sense? See how intimate
Yeah.
that gets? That gets intimate, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, like shit like that, man. And I'm telling you, it'll hold you back. And there's stuff like that, man, that I'm working through. And I know I appreciate that you have. What would you say, like before we go, looking back, because the way we train when we were training on Saturdays and stuff, how would you say those sessions went? The Saturday ones where you would let me like coach you pretty intense, like
Yeah.
as far as physically, psychologically, I was pushing you, right?
Yeah.
How would you describe those sessions?
Um, I would say they're completely and entirely coherent with the hypothesis that you proposed. As far as whenever you're doing your best, that's whenever your dark side's going to talk to you the most. And I'll be honest with you right now, okay?
Yeah,
Um, so whenever we were going on Saturdays, and I did say this, and this is just man to man. This is just I'm letting you in on my dark side a little bit,
sure,
okay? And
sure,
that dark
sure.
side, you can definitely it sounds to me like you and me will both be on the same page as far as that dark side is the self-destructive animal, right? So I would definitely say that those Saturdays were probably the most impactful. No, definitely the most impactful. They were by far the most valuable, and they definitely made me the person I am today, and the animal, the insatiable gym goer that I am.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. Yeah, I'm very happy.
Um,
Go on, keep going. Yeah.
yeah. So during that time, again, I'm letting you into my dark side a little bit.
No,
Okay. I
man,
hope this
dude,
doesn't
dude,
speak
dude,
to.
dude. I'm very like that. To me, was look, my intention when I was there with you working through those Saturdays. I wanted you to experience why I'm that motherfucker that trains on Saturdays, 3 hours, 4 hours. I wanted you to see that. I wanted you to experience, nah, bro. There is something here that is not just like I lift weights. Like there's something
Mhm.
here that it can unleash something within you,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I'm saying. Like it's almost like therapeutic too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So the dark side, and again, this is to no indication what I how I feel about you. Again, this was just the dark side that came out of me in that point in time. I wanted to self destruct in a way. There was a certain point where I called home, and I mean, I'm a broke college kid, you know this, and so I was just I called home and I was like, man, and I started complaining. Okay, again, this is my dark side, and I said, man, I want my Saturdays back. I'm spending all day at the gym, and I kind of feel like I'm basically just paying this guy to work out while I'm around.
Right.
I'll be honest, and that's just my dark side.
Yeah, I love it.
That's
I
not
love it.
it's
I love
not
it.
a
I love it.
flattering,
I love it. I
thing
love
to
it.
say.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I love
Yeah,
it. I love it.
and and looking back on it now, it's exactly what you told me it would be. It was the best investment that I could make. You said, Chance, you're getting these 2, 3, 4, sometimes up to close to 5 hour sessions
Yeah.
of me teaching you.
Yeah.
And there was that dark side self-destruct of saying, oh, you're just paying him so he can work out and you just hang out with him.
No,
And that
like
wasn't at all what it was.
no.
And so
If anything, man, we have to go here in a minute because like it's timing us or whatever. I'll put it like this, dude. I wish everybody could. I wish I could train everybody at that level because it is that visceral. That is who I. That is me teaching you my real core. Like
mhm,
that was no filter. That's no filter. Do you see what I'm
yeah,
saying? So that was I can't do that on in an hour, or
right.
but we're down to a minute for whatever we're recording. I don't know. They get tell me some warning here, but look, man, we'll talk here afterwards. Here, uh,
Okay.
it's awesome that we got to do this, and I have to train somebody at late here at 9:30. I know it's kind of it just sucks. It's like the late session, anyway. But we will talk soon. Let me put stop for now, and let me see how do I do this. Boom, boom. I guess we'll just stop it